Alright, so as you guys seen by the title of this video, we're finally starting the 3.2 liter VR6 swap on my MK4 GTi. So let me give you guys a little bit of backstory. This is a 2003 Volkswagen GTi VR6, so it does come compact with a 24 valve VR6. This is a 24 valve engine just like the R32 engine, so this swap isn't too complex. So if you haven't been keeping up with the videos, let me show you. I got a 3.2 liter VR6 right here. This came from a 2004 Volkswagen Touareg, and it is the engine code BAA, which is the highest compression VR6 on the market. Now, if you were to do boost, it actually doesn't matter because you would need a head spacer anyways. But this is perfect for us naturally aspirated guys, which I'm keeping mine naturally aspirated for a while. So this is perfect so I can push the maximum amount of horsepower. But after you get the engine, you're going to need the R32 intake manifold. Well, actually that's false. You can use this one, but all of the little connections are broken back there. So I just decided to get a new R32 one. And I notice everybody likes to use the R32 ones. I'm pretty sure because it says R32 right here and it looks super cool. But say you don't want to do that, you can go ahead and just peel these little letters off and then pop off the R32 logo. Anyways, the second main thing that you will need is the R32 fuel rail. So the one that comes on the 2.8 liter VR6 is just too small for the injectors, and I don't think it have enough volume for the amount of fuel that those injectors need. And then the 2004 Volkswagen Touareg one just has one feed line and one little tapon right there, as you can see. Now let me show you guys the R32 one. The R32 one has a fuel regulator on this side, and then it has a feed line and an exit line. And when you come to the GTi, it's the exact same thing. As you can see, those two hoses right there, there's a feed line and an exit line, and there's a fuel regulator right there as well. Now the next thing that you will need is a R32 throttle body. Keep in mind, anytime I say R32, I'm talking about the MK4 R32, not the MK5. So yes, you're gonna need the throttle body and you're gonna need the MAP sensor. I actually thought I was gonna be able to use the same MAP sensor because the one on the GTi is also 3 inches, but it actually looks a lot different. So I ordered the R32 MAP sensor from One Love Auto Group. It's actually on the way right now. By the time I'm slapping the engine back in, I'm sure it'll be here. Now I'm just trying to cover everything for those who want to do this swap themselves. The next thing that you will need to do is grab this wire right here and actually extend it, because your connection will now be all the way over here. Other than that, the entire engine wire harness is compatible. So that's all the parts that you will need to buy. Now everything else is compatible guys. The exhaust manifolds are compatible. A lot of people like to argue and say that they don't fit and that the R32 ones are bigger. And I've read so much research, and a lot of people say that they use the 24 valve VR6 ones with their R32 engine and that they work perfectly fine. Others say that there's a tiny difference, and I wasn't too sure. I wanted to be on the safe side and just buy the R32 exhaust manifolds, but when I went to go buy them, I seen that they're compatible for the 24 valve VR6 and they're compatible for the R32 VR6. So then I thought to myself, well, I already have the 24 valve VR6 exhaust manifolds, so I'm gonna just use those. Now I'm not too sure if there's a tiny difference or not, but many people say that they do it and that it sounds perfectly fine and that it runs perfectly fine. So you can keep your stock exhaust manifolds. Now keep in mind guys, I'm talking about the 24 valve VR6. If you have a 12 valve VR6, it's a whole different story. Thankfully with the 24 valve VR6, you can swap over a lot of parts because this engine is very similar to the R32 one. So like I said, you can use the same engine wire harness, you can use the same exhaust manifolds, and you're actually gonna have to swap over your accessory bracket, your alternator, your crank pulley, your water pump, your AC, your power steering. Basically everything that's right here is gonna have to get swapped over to the other engine. And same thing with the cooling system, you're just gonna swap over the crack pipe and everything there. It's actually really simple. In your transmission, it's gonna work perfectly fine. It's gonna fit perfectly fine. Your axles are gonna fit perfectly fine. And even the ECU guys, now I don't recommend that. A lot of people do it. They keep their 2.8 liter ECU, but I recommend that you don't keep it. I heard that your engine can run lean like that, and your engine will not be pushing as much horsepower as it should be. So you can get a stock R32 ECU, but it must have IMO off, or else it won't start, because that's basically like a little safety protection so that your car can't get robbed. So that has to be off so that you can swap that ECU onto your car and it can still start. Or you could just pass on that and go straight for a tune, which is what I'm gonna do. Now another thing that you're gonna have to do is swap over your oil pump and your oil cooler. Now trust me guys, this is gonna be really easy because you're gonna have both engines side by side. and you just swap part by part. So it won't be hard at all, and you'll be saving a lot of money because you won't have to go out and buy all these parts. Now again, I'm telling you, if you have the 24 valve VR6 in hand, this swap is not going to be too expensive. And if you have the 12 valve, you're going to spend quite a bit more because you're going to have to buy a lot of 24 valve parts to swap onto your 3.2 liter VR6. Anyways, I hope I covered everything for you guys. Let's get straight into the video. I actually had to refilm this because I was recording, but apparently it was in slow motion. And I actually showed you guys when I jacked up the car and everything, but I guess I couldn't show you guys because it's on slow-mo. But anyways, the car is jacked up and now it's time to take off the skid plate, and then I'm gonna drain the oil and I'm gonna drain the coolant. After that, I'll get to popping off the front and I'll move on to the exhaust manifolds and I'll show you guys how this goes. I'm trying to make this video very detailed because I want to inspire all my GTI and Jetta guys to 3.2 liter swap their car. Because man, I remember back then I wanted an R32 so bad. I wanted to hear it, I wanted to experience it. So if you got a GTI or a Jetta but you don't got R32 money, I highly recommend that you 3.2 liter swap it. And it's just cool overall, you know, like if you're a Volkswagen head, you know that people take very good care of their R32s. They don't modify them too hard. They don't beat on them too hard. They don't make them sound super loud. But you can find Jettas and GTIs that are fully built, extremely loud, shooting flames and everything. So that's basically my goal with this car. It's not an R32, but it will have the heart of an R32 and it will shoot big flames. So that's my overall goal, you know, the street build R32. It's not actually an R32, but you guys know what I mean. And yeah, I'll make sure to keep this video detailed as I'm doing the swap. I'll show you guys what I'm swapping over. I'll remind you guys what parts you need, what parts you don't need. And this is just part one, so let's get to pulling out this engine. And the skid plate's off, guys. As you can see, there's a whole lot of leaves on it because I let the car sit for a pretty long time out there while I found these parts. But we got the skid plate off and we got all the bumper bolts off and the little organization starts. This is how I like to organize my bolts, and I suggest you guys organize your bolts as well, or else your jobs will be a lot harder. Trust me guys, stay organized and everything will be very simple. Alright guys, now we're gonna shoot this little clip for IG, TT, shorts, and snap. Then you can go ahead and drain out all your oil. You guys see that too, right? Look, you guys see that oil? Between you and I guys, I actually put Walmart oil, but that's because I knew the engine was already blown. Trust guys, I never run Walmart oil. Since it was blown, I was like, whatever. Now I actually popped off my oil pan, and the reason why is because you're going to need to reuse this oil pump because the Touareg one is too big for the oil pan that we will be running. Now that the oil pump is off, we could put it next to the rest of our parts. Alright, so I flushed out all the fluids, including the tranny fluid and the coolant, and I put the oil pan back on because I'm gonna try to drop the engine without an engine hoist. I'm gonna just put a jack and a piece of wood right under the oil pan and the transmission. Then I'm gonna try to bring it down slowly. Now, as you guys know, we also shoot Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks, and Snapchat Spotlights. So I'm about to start that video right now. I'm gonna show them a faster version of this whole thing. I'm also gonna tell them that I have a longer detailed version on YouTube, which some of you guys may have came from over there. So thank you for coming. I hope you swap your car as well. This is the detailed version. Anyways, I'm just telling you guys because I put the grill back on, as you can see, and that's how I'm gonna start that video. So it still looks all put together, but in a second it's gonna look completely taken apart. But yeah guys, this is behind the scenes of those videos because the truth is the bumper is already completely unscrewed. The grill can literally pop right off. All of my lug nuts are off. So everything's gonna pop off really easy, but to them it's gonna look like I did a whole lot of work, which I did, but that was beforehand. So let's get straight to it. All right guys, so we got the wheels off and we got the bumper and the grill off. Now it's just time to take off the radiator support, which my Volkswagen heads already know. This is really easy to do. It just takes about 4 bolts on this bumper. And then there's 2 little bolts up here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's 1 little bolt right here, and there's 1 on the other side. There's also a couple of hoses and 1 connection, or 2 connections actually, but it's really easy guys, trust me. Now, let's just pop that off. So, it's off as you can see, and now it's looking a lot more possible. It looks like the engine is almost ready to pull out, but it's not just yet. But everything's visible and everything's gonna be easy to access now. So let's put it to the side and get to unbolting. One thing that I feel like is important to mention is if you wanna chop off your exhaust or if you wanna disconnect your downpipe, you don't have to remove the air intake manifold. but I'm gonna remove it because I want to disconnect it straight from the exhaust manifolds so I can only replace those gaskets and not have to replace the downpipe gasket. I also like to pop this off because it gives you a lot of clearance and you can see all the bolts, and I don't know, it just feels easier to work on. Alright guys, so we just disconnected all the lines and disconnected the bolts. So let's put this down here so we don't stain anything. Now there's the VR6 in its raw form. I wonder if there's any bent valves from what happened to the car. Whoa, guys, y'all see that right there? I don't know if you guys could see in there, but it looks like the rubber piece that's supposed to be on the top of the valve popped off, which that's kind of crazy. All my injectors are still connected. I used to actually have issues with that. But yeah, guys, this is usually what boosted VR6s look like. Everybody just gets the little short runner intake manifold, and then their turbos back here. As you can see, there's a whole lot of space for a turbo back here. But the point of this was to take off this heat shield, and then I'll be able to see the exhaust manifolds and I can disconnect those, which I am a little bit scared of disconnecting the exhaust manifolds because, you know, they get really hot and sometimes the bolts kind of get seized on there. So I hope that goes smooth, but I'm about to find out. This is the part that I was the most scared about. I honestly think everything else is going to be easy, but this is the part that, man, I don't know. I see a lot of people get impatient and just chop it off, but I'm trying to avoid doing that. I already got new gaskets. I want it to go smooth. So wish me luck. So it just took 2 bolts and the heat shield comes right off. And there we go, guys. The exhaust manifolds are exposed. Now this is the part that I'm the most nervous about. I really hope they come off nice and smooth. Alright guys, so it's going pretty smooth actually. All the bolts came out. This one came out with the stud, but that's fine. And there's 4 more bolts down there, but they're a little hard to reach because the axle's in the way. Now it's definitely possible to do with the axle still there, but I'm gonna have to disconnect both axles anyway, so I might as well disconnect it already and make my life easier. Now both axles are disconnected, guys. This is crazy because it's getting a lot closer, because once both axles are disconnected, if I were to disconnect these mortar mounts, the engine would actually come right down. So let's take off the last 4 nuts on the headers and we'll go from there. Alright guys, and they're off. We're a lot closer now. Literally, if I were to disconnect the mortar mounts, the engine will come right out. But first I gotta move all these lines out the way, which that's gonna be pretty easy. So let's get it. Alright, so I got basically everything disconnected. The last thing left is the slave cylinder line. And I just wanted to show you guys the fuel rows side by side. Let me let the camera focus real quick. So look at that, guys. It's a huge difference. Just look at how thin this one is and look at how thick this one is. I already know the flames are going to be crazy, but now I'm starting to wonder if I could have thrown this one on my car as an upgrade. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. And if you could, I suggest all my 24 valve VR6 guys to do it so that you can shoot big flames. But this is really exciting, guys, to be honest. Like, it's a big upgrade. The car, I'm gonna be honest, it's not the lightest car. So I feel like it's necessary to have this bigger engine. I'm really excited. I did this all in one day, guys. Literally after this, I'm gonna just disconnect the mortar mounts and drop it to the floor. All right, it's the moment of truth, guys. We just have to take out the dog bone, which is the transmission mount, and then we can take off both mortar mounts and the engine will come right off. Every single thing is disconnected. All right, guys, the moment's finally here. The dog bone is off and we just need to take off these 2 bolts on this mortar mount. And then there's 2 bolts on this mortar mount, which I already took off 1. After those are all out, we could drop the engine. All right, guys, so it is officially time to drop the engine. All the bolts are off. I even pushed the engine a little bit to get the exhaust manifolds away from the engine, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna drop right down nice and smooth. Let me get the other camera going, and let's get it. All right, guys, it's the moment of truth. It's going down, guys, it's going down. Let me hold it just to make sure it's all good. Whoa, I dropped it too fast there. But it's going, it's going. I think I broke some random clip. And my old 2.8 liter VR6 is officially out of my GTi. And I did that all in 6 hours. Like I told you guys, I'm trying to make this swap go by fast so you guys can see the car running once again. And yeah, guys, taking it out was not as hard as I thought. I mean, it is a little bit dangerous, guys. Like, be very careful. If you're gonna do it with the jack, you do not want to crush a toe. So what I did is just stay back from it the entire time. I would have preferred to just let it fall and have enough room to back up. So be safe doing this, guys. If you have an engine hoist, just use the engine hoist. Now, wow, I've never seen my car like this. This is crazy. This is the most taken apart that my car has ever been. Look at these headers, guys. All my Volkswagen people already know that Volkswagen created the best headers for this engine. So if you were to get performance ones, they'd actually slow down your car. That's why I love Volkswagen, man. They do a good job at everything. And I got a comment a little while ago from somebody asking what axles I run because theirs are always breaking. I don't remember exactly which ones they are, but I know they are from Euro Tuning and they cost about $100 each, maybe 120 each. All I gotta say is don't get the AutoZone or O'Reilly ones. But yeah guys, all that in 6 hours. I'm really prepared to get this car running once again. Now let me flip the flash away real quick just to show you guys the 3.2 liter one more time. Man, I can't wait to throw this bad boy in there. The car's gonna be running so smooth. It's gonna be a lot louder. It's gonna be beefier. It's gonna shoot bigger flames. Honestly, I cannot wait for this. That's why I'm rushing it. Although I'm rushing it, I'm trying my best job, you know, to keep everything organized and do a good job. I don't want anything to go wrong. One thing I will say is that little things could break while you're doing this because they're old cars and then the plastic isn't too strong, but it's nothing big. I'm sure you'd be able to get all the parts. But yeah guys, I think that's where we're gonna end off part one of the swap. I just want to tell you guys thank you for all your support. I see that a lot of viewers from out of country like UK, Germany like to watch our videos, and usually those people are really interested in the Volkswagen. So thank you guys from the UK for all the support, and thank you to everyone else supporting this build. And remember guys, do not let people bully you out of Volkswagens. Yes, they are not the fastest cars from factory, they have a lot of capability, they have a lot of respect, and these cars have made so much history. It's not really about how fast they are, it's more so about how legendary these cars are. Right as I was about to end the video, look at who decided to come in. It's her, it's actually your first time seeing it without the engine too, huh?
Yeah.
Did you think I was gonna get it done today?
No, I don't know, I thought I was gonna come in here to like a mess or something.
No, and I kept it pretty clean, right? Isn't everything organized?
Mm-hmm.
And then look, my bolts are all right there organized. If you guys want to see how I organize my bolts, this is how, guys. I just use a bunch of Ziploc bags.
I literally came when you were done for tonight.
Yeah, I'm done for today.
I came to offer you food.
Oh, perfect timing. I'm hella hungry, guys. I was out here the whole time just working.
I know.
I started at 12 and ended at 6. 6 hours, that's a pretty good job, huh? I'm telling you guys, it all started with a little oil change, and then it made me work on my car more and more, to the point that I know these cars very well. So do your oil change on your car. But yeah guys, that's gonna be the end of part one. Thank you guys for staying to the end. And stay tuned for the 3.2 liter VR6 to get swapped in my Mark 4 GTi. You wanna say bye guys?
Bye guys.